It would be very interesting if we could trace the development of the spiritual idea, somewhat as they trace developments of the field of exploration and other fields of industry and so forth. In 1492, Columbus found a physical continent. And now we're finding a spiritual continent. It's really the same. There's something in a person that makes him seek out and look for things and try to find a way of extending himself. And that's the way it's always been with the human race. When you send your kids to school, there's 30 kids in the class and you look at them, they all look the same. They're all there. Some are bright-eyed and some are not. But you look closely and you'll find the seeds of something going on. One child, you can tell he's got artistic talent. The other child is serious. He's going to do something of a nature that seems more adult than he is. You begin to spot the differences. But there's one thing that's never been there. In all the children in all the schools, we never spotted an immortal. We never thought in those terms. We thought the world was going to go on in its regular way. We never thought of seeing something so drastically new. And yet the seed was planted way back before Jesus. And then it matured in Jesus. And now, when you see children in a classroom, there's something has been added that's new. Each one is going to grow up and become a civic-minded adult or none. Each one is going to study. Each one is going to develop. But like in the past, there was a place where everyone stopped. Development is going to take place 60, 70, 80 years, 90 at the outset, and then the child would pass on out of existence. The thing that's new is that there are now two groups. One that will pass out of existence and return again, and one that will pass out of existence into a higher plane. We can begin to look for that. We can begin to even sponsor that, encourage it. And I'm sure that encouragement won't come in the classroom. We'll have to look beyond the classroom for that. It may come in the religious field. It may not. It may take something different to encourage a young child upwards out of the pack into the rarefied atmosphere of a spiritual seeker. And I think that leaves an opening for many people to have a new kind of life for themselves, bringing children into the spiritual life. If he were a scientist, he would be knee-deep in the atom field. He would be a type who has seen the growth of atoms and has labeled man an atomic man. Then he would see the growth of microatoms, and man would be a microatom man. And then he would just pass on like all the rest. But then there is the one who sees man is not a micro man, is not an atomic man. And I am not an atomic man. And that's the rare one. That's the rare one who has found a glimpse of the divine. We have to learn how to find them and encourage them, so that they do not fall prey to the common mind. They are going to open the way and lead the way into the kingdom. You may not even be aware of it at this time. But once the light touches them, they're going to want to find that new universe that isn't as prosaic as this one, in which everybody is working to find material stability. There's a new field open, and it's the field of that person who is bent to escape death, to live beyond death, and then to find that it opens into something new. That to me is the excitement of the coming age. We find that man is not atomic, that atoms are not even reality. And just a while ago, atoms were the biggest thing in the universe, the most powerful. In fact, we were made of atoms, and there was nothing else that we were made of. So they thought. And we had an atomic future, which could blow up. At any rate, it wouldn't mean much more to us if it didn't blow up. We'd end up as an atomic corpse. And now that's not your identity. That's how quickly things change inside of 50 years. That's not your identity at all. God isn't in the atom. Your body isn't made of atoms at all. That's the beauty of it. Material atoms compose the illusion of a body. And that is not the body. Nobody has seen your body. Nobody has touched it. And that's the body that is growing up around us in the young children who are aware or are beginning to feel something different. When we grew up, we felt this physical body was our body. We did all kinds of things to better it. You can't pump iron for a spiritual body. And the children who are growing up with a body that is not working too well, those who feel they are invalids, have not yet discovered that that body is not theirs. It would be wise if you could help them to teach them the true nature of the body. The minute they begin to realize the possibility that they have another body and look into it and find some reason to pursue it a little further, they will discover that they don't have that invalid physical body at all. And it will surprise them as well as you that they outgrow that body when they find the true nature of body is spirit. The new species that is forming on the surface of this earth is the immortal man. You may be part of that species in your realization already, but if you're not, you will, because that's the only place you can go up. That's the new dimension in life. The dimension that has no level that it must stay on. The dimension that is forever. And whoever is aware of that dimension will make the shift in consciousness toward it, and we will become part of the new breed growing around us. It is not going to be long before you are calling each other immortals, because that is where you have been trying to reach. Everyone in the religious field, without exception, has been reaching for immortality and has not known that they were reaching, has not known or defined their goal. They hope some way that they would be something else in another world. How they would get from this to that was a big question mark. But generally the idea was that after I die, I'll go to heaven. And it was all very vague. Then they'd look for their parents in heaven. And how they would look, I don't know, but they would try to contact their parents. These were some of the difficult times of a person's life, when they didn't see what's ahead of them, what's above them. And they tried so hard to find something that had happened to their parents to encourage them to think they were moving on a path toward God. And all they were doing in that time was being moral, maybe. And that's what they were doing to find God. The outstanding children today will be encouraged by their parents, and they will have a different outlook. They're not all going to become bookkeepers or even scientists or even doctors. Nothing in the material world can bear fruit beyond its temporary appearance. Then it's through. It's over. When you have a sure foot in your spiritual growth, when you know what is expected of you, and you have already disengaged yourself from the limited field by not being finitized into such and such a type of employment, but are now walking toward God, then life becomes a most fulfilling experience, and it blossoms forever beyond itself. We are not atoms, and we do not die like atoms. Heaven is open to us. It is not open to atoms. There's not an atom in heaven today. And when the atoms are human bodies, there's not one gets out of this world alive. It's a very bleak picture that science has painted for us. It's most saddening to see grown men, grown women, completely lost in the atomic world, with no place to go, just academic laurels. If they could see it as deadness, which is what it is, if we could see it as deadness, we would be that small percentage which would keep alive in us the need for feasting on spirit. And we would find spiritual food all around us available. I say this not for your good alone, but for the good of your friends, the good of your children. We must convert now to a world of spirit. We must find within ourselves the new heaven. This will spring up around us as we develop this Christ attitude, and in the level of the world which has no place it can go, no place at all, out of it will spring a new world, a new heaven, a new earth. We will be part of that growth. It is the only direction we can take which leads to life and not death. It is very sad to me that these centuries have gone by with men and women knowing no more than that they must die. But that's the degree of hypnotism which has lain upon this world that men could know no more. And the death of people was not the death of their souls, but the death of their human bodies. Just think of the amount of money and time poured out to get an education, let's say, a college education, an ordinary college education. Just think of what is spent for that, and how much time is spent for that. And what does the child do with it now that he's an adult? He worries about where he should work, who for. He goes into a swamp. Sometimes he grows to be head of the corporation, and he buys fancy art, fancy furniture, fancy home. He's still in a swamp. What gets him out of the swamp is that view of the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. If that does not come to him, his heart will stop beating, and before he knows it, he's in a coffin, and there's no Jesus to come along and say, "Awaken, thou that sleepest." He has devoted his life to human things, and it is over. Now, I know you feel something in yourself that that is not for you. And you know how one moves, perhaps one struggles to find a way out. And Jesus found it. He actually found the way out that we were all looking for, and when he found it, nobody actually knew he had found it. He conquered death. He showed a man finds his spiritual life and doesn't die. It seems so obvious now, but it's been lost to the world. There's a new person born among us when you understand this and respond to it, and a new identity. You look like the same housewife, the same businessman. You look exactly the same, but your identity shifts. I'm not a person. Imagine, I've been in this world a number of years, and all of a sudden I realize I'm not a person. Now Jack, my neighbor, is still a person. And over here, Jack's son, he isn't going to be a person. But Jack's going to remain a person. He thinks that's all he can be. That's the end. We're looking today at a different universe where persons are no more. Even the one who thinks he's a person isn't. Now that's startling. That's like Columbus discovering a new world. A person isn't. The Spirit of God is there whether the man knows it or not. And I can help bring that Spirit to the fore. Why do I treat him like a person if he's not one? Why don't I treat him like a spirit? If I treat him like a person, I must act like one myself. So therefore, what he's requiring of me without knowing it is I be a person too. but I can't be. I'm what I am. And what I am is the spirit that he is, and I must act like what I am. That means things in my awareness are not the same as things in his awareness. I can't say yes when I don't mean yes. I can't say, well, we'll do it that way if I don't mean we'll do it that way. I can see a world of error. It's a different universe for me. And therefore, for you to live in your true universe, you must be true to it. Even if you have to say hello to a person, you don't have to believe he's one. Whatever he looks like makes no difference. In order to free yourself into the new thought of God on this earth, you've got to act like it. You've got to break the shackles. You can't go around saying, I'm going to be one way and I'll treat the world another way. You've got to be that way in all you do in order to be what you are. And time is not meant to be spent in a divided consciousness. We have divided our consciousness so long break out more boldly. No, I don't believe in atoms. I don't believe that man is atomic. I believe that man is spiritual. And what if you don't believe it? I don't care. I can't go on talking a lie just to have you be more harmonious with me. This is a spiritual universe. And if 9/10 of it doesn't realize it, it still is a spiritual universe. And I must live in it as a spiritual universe and a spirit in a spiritual universe. And then the world will start changing with you. And then when you look at your kids in school, you see children there, and your conversation will be somewhat different. You're not going to encourage the material growth of that boy. You're going to encourage the spiritual growth of that boy. And obviously he's going to be different. Now, I don't say we force spirit down anybody's throat. But children have given the inclination that this is the direction they want to go, and parents have held them back. Parents who are unaware that that is a direction. This is how the world turns. In 50 years, you won't recognize the world at all. We'll have spiritual people appearing in it. And although it wasn't that way in your day, we'll have immortal people appearing in it. They won't be called people. And some will have that inner awareness born of an experience or 2 or 10 in which they know that they are here to stay. We didn't have that. We all knew we were not here to stay. We closed our eyes to it. We preferred not to talk about it. Then there was that rude day when Uncle Charlie went, and Aunt Mary went. Finally, everyone went. Each of us comes from a long line of antecedents. When we all think of our parents, we say to ourselves, did my mother or father have a feeling about the Spirit? Did he or she encourage me to have a feeling about the Spirit? We find that most of our parents were completely unaware, and those who had an idea of the Spirit hadn't cultivated to the degree that they knew even what you know today. And that's what we came out of. I would like to feel that the new generation will not look back on what we came out of, but that they will come out of us. They will see a world with no top on it, a world that is infinite, in which the will of God is prevalent. It will not be a world in which nation is against nation, color against color, religion against religion. That's savagery. That's materialism at its worst. I'd like to feel that we can bring them into a world which has light in it, a world which makes them say, how did this heaven come about? If each of us has that foremost goal, you will find that it more or less sets the tone for all of your life. You never feel like the younger generation is making me feel old. There's no feeling old in the Spirit. This is the glorious present that we face. This is the opportunity. We are the ambassadors of the Father. His Spirit is our Spirit. We spread the good news over the face of the earth and beyond, into the new earth, into the new heaven. The new heaven and the new earth that we see because we are looking past the world of atoms, the world of matter. And we are not looking with human eyes. We're looking with the Christ vision. The Christ vision that we develop, that does not see any matter that sees nothing but God's work, present, perfect, eternal. Do we have that power? The Bible says we do. And therefore, we must say we do. For the voice of the Father speaks through us. It is not our voice at all. This is a new world now. It's an embryo, perhaps, in your consciousness, but it's the beginning of a new world. It will attain that which has been here forever. And in this new world, there will still be many concepts that we disapprove of, but there will be a loosening of the belief that they are real, and an acceptance will not be there. We will lose the concepts, and as we lose them, we will experience them. But that is how we will lose them. They will pass away. It seems like a far way before war will break out again, before we will lose the viciousness, the primitive nature that regards other people as our enemy. But we're closer to it. If we can take, I call it a resolve because it seems to be something specific to hold on to, a resolve to release our thoughts about the things that we have found mostly detrimental to our future. To release our thoughts about war, hatred, prejudice, disease, accidents, and to see that all of these things, plus many others, are part of the atomic universe. We don't see the atoms, but there are atoms that make wood, and there are atoms that make every material in the world, whether it's steel or iron or bombs or bullets, and there are no atoms. None made by God. And yet all of the atoms in the world play a great part in our daily life, even though atoms are not the creation of God. What are we doing with them? It's only the atom of us that does work or believes that the atoms that are not of God are here. Now, you can't ask the world to drop their belief in atoms. It's very real to the world. It may be real to you. But you've got to see that unreality of an atomic bomb the unreality of every weapon in the world, and the unreality of a body that must be saved. Yes, it's true, Joel said he'd rather himself to be destroyed than the body of another. But he knew that he couldn't be destroyed, that's why. Just as Jesus knew he couldn't be destroyed. And he was demonstrating that matter, in those days it was called matter. In these days it's shifted to atoms. He was just showing that it was a nothing. He wasn't even made of matter. Take what I am. I'm still alive. When that sinks in, we'll say the same in this century. Do you realize how many hundreds of early Christians went to the lions? What gave them the courage? Do you realize that a percentage of them had learned the secret? That they existed without material bodies? It was no different if a lion ate a man or if an executioner crucified him. But there were those who knew. We today must look at this atomic world and do exactly what John said. If a man loves the world, the Father is not in him. The atomic world, you never heard a statement like this. The atomic world has no reality. It can blow our heads off, but it has no reality. The head it blows off is not my head. God didn't make that. Only what God made is real. And what God made is the invisible head of every man, the invisible head of every woman, the invisible body of every woman. God made nothing finite. It's time to get a mature idea of God, rather than to live with these stereotyped concepts that limit us.